God, this was a hell of a weekend. You obviously got to celebrate with the Padres game, the big time victory over the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I had to sweat bullets as my Texas Longhorns had to battle it out with Iowa State, a struggling Iowa State team. Yeah, they lost their last two games by a combined 4 points, but this is also Iowa State team that struggles to put up 20 points. They didn't put up 21 in this game. They ended up losing 24-21. I know a lot of the talk is going to be around a targeting call that was not called, or was it called? Is it all shouldered? Was there a hit to the head? Who knows? It was a fumble. It was the big play that the Texas Longhorns were able to make. They needed to make big plays late, which it just one of those things that just makes you uncomfy. When you talk about a team going in with a 16.5 betting line in their favor, and they end up only winning by 3 points, it's the type of performance that makes even AP voters kind of question, oh shit, should we start dropping them? I mean, they came in 22 with Kansas losing. I imagine them maybe jumping up a spot or two, but they're not going to get a lot of love for their performance against Iowa State. What do you think of how the Longhorns performed over the weekend, Kyle?
Well, we said when we did our game preview that they were going to win this game, and the spread reflected that as such. I think that it was a close game. They still won it. I mean, it felt like it was kind of in jeopardy at the end, but at least it was one of those games where like it wasn't like they had to come storming back from a chaotic, like blow the doors off. It was just like they were supposed to win easily and they won by pretty close. But I do think that there are takeaways to have from that because, like we said, there was a 16.5-point favorite. Defense looked iffy, but like we've been saying all year, I don't know how good Texas's defense is. One week they're holding Bama to 0 points. The next week it's not that.
I just couldn't understand. And another big play that didn't happen is this Xavier Hutchinson guy from Iowa State just gets wide ass open. There's no one within a country mile of him, and he drops the ball. It was like a gift from God raining down in Austin on Longhorns fans, because everyone and their mother was asking, how the hell is this guy? Especially because Xavier Hutchinson, context here, finishes the day 10 receptions, 154 yards, catching everything, and he misses the most important throw of the day because, yes, Texas would have still had a chance to get the ball back and potentially drive the ball downfield and score. If they catch that, that might be the game-winning play. That might be the game-winning touchdown for Iowa State. And if there's anyone on that team that should have been covered, it would have been Xavier Hutchinson. How can a guy literally murder you for 3.5 quarters and all of a sudden you just say, we don't need to guard him. Just let him run free. Just let no safety, no one picked him up. And he just, again, gave you a gift. I don't know what happened there, but got really lucky. That and the fumble, Texas got really lucky in this game. This is the type of performance where I'm just like frustrated with them, mostly because I just hate this mentality sometimes with them. It's like they can't get amped up for a game in which they're a heavy favorite. It's like they always seem to want to play down to their opponent, and that's coaching to me. I know that we have to put a lot of onus on the players, but that's coaching to me, because the person that's supposed to motivate this team and make sure they're in the right mental state going into each and every game, that's Coach Steve Sarkisian. Steve, I know you do a great job amping them up to play Oklahoma, Alabama. The bottom line is, if you ever want to be in the college football playoff, if you ever want to be competing for a national championship, you can't drop games to Iowa State. You can't drop games to Texas Tech. You need to be pristine each and every week out, which you're human. Your players are human. So it's not always easy to do. But if you look at the best teams, that's what they do. That's how they consistently play to that level. Because it's not just the physicality. It's not just because they're able to recruit 5 stars, which you're able to do at Texas. It's that they could get 5-star mentalities out of their players, get that killer instinct, get the instinct that players like Georgia have or Saban teams of the past have. You need to bring that to Texas. It's not just good enough to get talent. You need talented players that have that killer instinct. That's how you win in college football. That's how you win in life. So that's the one thing I want from this Texas program. And I hope Iowa State, I hope Texas Tech, I hope the slow start against UTSA are all wake-up calls for this franchise, for this program.
So when we were talking last week, imagine someone comes down and tells you while we're doing research, Juju, Kyle, that Texas team that beat Oklahoma 49-0, an Oklahoma team that then the next week scored 52 against Kansas, that team will be outgained by Iowa State this weekend. Iowa State will have more yards of offense than the University of Texas, and Iowa State is going to average a full yard more per play than the University of Texas offense. You wouldn't have believed it, of course. I would have laughed at it because, of course, that's what happens. Texas does that shit all the time where they play down to competition, and Iowa State does that. And that's also just kind of a Big 12 thing and a Pac-12 thing and just conferences that all beat up on each other. But at the same time, I mean, you can obviously watch the game and find the context and nuance behind it, but Iowa State's offense was better than Texas's offense. There's very little explanation for that sounds good for Texas. There's very little context and nuance you can apply that will sound good for Texas. Because you mentioned the play that went over for 80 yards that should have been a touchdown.
A common theme that I'm seeing from Texas fans in the wake of this subpar performance is Quinn Ewers still young. This is only his fourth game or fifth game. I forget what it is. Fourth game, I believe. Mm-hmm. It's just not good enough when you just have this level of talent. And he ends up finishing with 3 touchdowns, but you could tell he was off. And I guess a big step in development and growth of any quarterback, any athlete, is when your fastball's not working, can you break out the off-speed stuff? And late in the game, he did. Late in the first half, Texas was able to do that. Benefited off of a turnover in the first half, get some points. Even the throw to Bijan that set up a touchdown, I didn't really love it. I still believe in the talent that is Quinn Ewers, but I think it's important to see what is the low-level performance, what is the baseline floor. If 3 touchdowns is your floor, that's a pretty good floor to have. That is. If that's your worst day, 3 touchdowns by your quarterback. Bijan Robinson, here's one thing, going back to the crowd that thinks Bijan is a first-round running back. Bijan has the talent to be a first rounder. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to happen because in the NFL, you just have to be so extraordinary to get in the first round as a running back. And he struggles on short yardage sometimes. It's baffling. He does a great job of making the first guy miss, but there's an opportunity to score a touchdown late on 3rd down, I believe, that set up a 4th down do or die moment for Texas late in the game. Bijan finishes again with 135 yards, 28 carries. It's not his most efficient day, but this is just the little things that you just like to see cleaned up. And you talk about these guys at the next level, what they can perform and do. I think that these are learning opportunities for both of them. And now this is where the schedule really gets hard for Texas. You got some tough games coming up here. You have Oklahoma State, you have Baylor, you have this TCU team that's turned out to be really good. Kansas, even though they just, again, lost to that Oklahoma team you mentioned, still put up over 40 points. This is a Kansas team that can score. So Texas defense, a lot of onus is going to be put on them in the season second half to be able to contain some of these higher powered offenses. And if they're unable to do that, or they're unable to keep up in these shootouts, they're going to maybe drop 2 more games this year. I think Iowa State, that tells you that they still have a low end performance in them. I think that unfortunately, they probably have another ugly loss in them. Kansas State, I believe, is still on their schedule as well. So you have some tough opponents coming up. It's just, come on, Texas. You had a 16.5 point line in your favor. Make this easier. Make this easier. Don't make it easy on the Vegas bettors who are like, let me take Iowa State plus 16.5. Make it easy on me. Make it easy on me. I don't need this type of stress in my life.
Well, this is keeping the eye on the ball, because even if they drop 2 more games, because right now Texas, Kansas, and Baylor are in that second tier of the Big 12 right now. If you keep your eye on the ball, 8-4 still was the goal at the start of the season. Still the goal. Still
coming
the goal.
Off 5-7. I know I should be grateful. I should be happy coming off that 5-7 year. Any growth is big growth. You just saw a UT team wearing orange beat Alabama. That could have been you. That could have been you, Texas. So there's still some positive takeaways from this year, regardless, end of the point, unless they just go on a historic end of season, awful, miserable end of the year, they should be fine. But
I'm guessing no steakhouses for Quinn Ewers anymore. We're revoking
Again, that's
steakhouse
his
privileges.
worst performance is 3 touchdowns, but okay, steakhouses. Maybe I got a little excited. Maybe I got a little ahead of myself. Steakhouses are reserved for national champions. I'll admit that. So,
and Colt McCoy.
And Colt McCoy and Sam Ehlinger, who just got elevated to QB2 with the Indianapolis Colts. So book them. We got that. Right. All right, guys. Well, it was an ugly performance, but there are some positive takeaways. There's always positive takeaways to take away in a win. It's still a win nonetheless. Texas advances to 5-2. Probably get a little boost in the AP this week. But how are you feeling after this game against the Cyclones? We want to know below in the comment section. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media. Kyle Ledbetter, resident Longhorns fan, Juju here. Stay safe, happy, and healthy, and we will see you next time.